A long time ago, humans became infected with a genetic condition called hereditary evil racer syndrome, or HER for short. This disease caused anyone to be infected to have a malicious and destructive personality. Fearing this could mean the end of humanity, scientists built an ark known as Sin in order to reach another planet to inhabit. It was said that a pair of twins would board this ark. These twins were Lavia and Behemo Barisol. However, they lived in different dimensions. Lavia was a young scientist who entered college at age 6 and Behemo was a cross-dresser. However, at some point, Lavia became infected with her and started having murderous impulses. She consulted one of her colleagues, a man named Seth Twilight who studied alternate realities, and he told her that her malice was the fault of an alternate version of herself, and if she killed her alternate version, her malice would be gone as well. This, however, was a trap, so Seth could write the Ark in Lavia's place, so he can spread her to the new planet. But Lavia figures this out on time, and her and Behemo set out to create a new mankind. Seth, however, sneaks on board anyway and kills most of the people on the Ark, reincarnates as a human and starts creating artificial children in order to spread her. Meanwhile, Lavia and Behemo get sealed in the body of a two-headed dragon. Wanting human bodies again, Behemo and Lavia manipulate the country's prophet, Miss Merry-Go-Round, and tell her that the land will be destroyed unless someone gives birth to the twin gods, which they plan to use as vessels for their souls. A man named Adam Moonlit is tasked with this. One of the candidates is a powerful witch named Eve, but the twins turn out to be stillborns. Adam and Eve leave in order to live in the forest afterwards. Several other projects were attempted, but all of them failed. The last project, Ma, started with 4 candidates, one of which was one of Seth's ghoul children, Irina Clockworker. She killed all the other subjects, including her brother's fiancée, Elika, but she gets killed herself by the two-headed dragon after Behemo and Lavia abandon their body in favor of Elika's. Seth transfers her soul into a cat, but you can ignore this because she isn't mentioned in any other song. Meanwhile, Seth successfully creates the 2 twins, but the mother escapes with the twins and later gets killed by Eve, who was completely delusional because of the death of her own children, who brings them home and raises them as her own children, naming them Hansel and Gretel. Years later, abandoning them deep in the forest during a famine, Hansel and Gretel find their way home and shove their mother into an oven. Her original sin of stealing the twins splits into 7 deadly sins: lust, gluttony, pride, envy, sloth, greed, and wrath. These demons went and inhabited the 7 vessels of sin, and influenced several humans during the course of history. Phenomania was a man born with a deformed face and was rejected by basically everyone. He forged a contract with a demon of lust that made any woman that looked at him instantly fall in love with him. He used this to make a harem of women in his basement until one of the woman's lovers stabbed him in the chest. Bianca Conchita made a contract with the demon of gluttony after nearly dying of visceral abnormalities due to her destructive eating habits. She could now eat whatever she wanted without her body suffering any consequences. She ends up eating her cook, 2 servants, Arte and Paulo, who are reincarnations of Hansel and Gretel, and eventually herself. Royal twins Aurelian and Alexiel Lucifin d'Autry were separated from each other when they were young. Alexiel was falsely pronounced dead due to an assassination attempt, and after her mother's death, Aurelian became the new ruler of the country. At her mother's funeral, she is given a mirror by one of her maids, Nay, and is possessed by the demon of pride, and losing quite a few memories in the process. Aurelian is an awful ruler, taxing her people way too much and letting them starve. At 14, Alexiel returns to the palace as Aurelian's servant. After a prince from a different country refuses her proposal in favor of a green-haired girl from a neighboring country, she orders her army to kill all green-haired women, which could have all been avoided if the girl just told the prince that she was in fact a giant lesbian. There's a revolution. Alexiel takes Aurelian's place and tells her that since they're twins no one will notice that they switched. Alexiel is beheaded and Aurelian becomes a nun running an orphanage until she dies of old age. Alexiel was a reincarnation of Hansel, but really not of Gretel. Gretel actually reincarnated into Nay. A woman named Kaio is madly in love with a man and she convinces herself that he is her husband. She sees him with several other women and she thinks he's cheating on her. These women are actually his wife and 2 daughters. She kills them and then later kills the man himself. Margarita Blankenheim married her childhood friend, but he soon starts seeing other women. She then gave him a sleep medicine as a gift, which in reality was poison. She killed several more people this way before committing suicide. Margarita was a reincarnation of Eve. Galarian Marlon was a judge who declared anyone innocent as long as they paid enough money. He was given the clockworker's doll by Ma, who told him that his dead daughter's soul was inside the doll. At some point he had a child with Ma named Nemesis, who was also one of Lavia's reincarnations. Nemesis eventually goes to Galarian's house, sets it on fire, and tells him to return all the money to the people he stole from, or she will shoot him. He refuses and gets killed by Nemesis, and Nemesis later becomes master of the Hellish Yard. After that, some more things happen. Galarian built the Heartbeat Clock Tower in the middle of a forest, the Clockworker's doll comes alive, the Hellish Yards merged with the normal world, but none of this is clearly explained in any of the songs, and you would have to read the books for it, and I don't have the books.